Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Thursday's edition of Big Blue Kickoff Live, presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Football Giants. Thanks so much for being with us for the next hour. Paul Dottino and Matt Citak, as we take your phone calls and review what happened in day 2 of training camp practice here today in East Rutherford. Give us a dial at 201-939-4513, 201-939-4513. You can also go to Twitter, hashtag Giants Chat. Although if we get plenty of phone calls, we won't need to go to Twitter to get those comments. As a reminder, you can find the archive of this show and our entire podcast network on the Giants mobile app, podcast platforms everywhere, and at giants.com/podcasts. Folks, for those of you who braved the gray skies today, and I know there was some threat of rain, but there were some very, very happy fans who made the trip to Bergen County to watch this team go out there and perform. It was a really good day for the passing game. In particular, the star of the day by far was wide receiver Dennis Houston, former practice squad player from last year, trying to make the team this year. As we know, he was in the Cowboys organization before the Giants picked him up. He made three, count them, 3 plays that would all qualify as plays of the day. And for a player to do that all in one morning is always going to be an eye-opener. I had him down for a fingertip grab inside the back line from Drew Lock, a sliding touchdown catch in the end zone from Daniel Jones, and another sliding stab for a score from Tommy DeVito. So an equal opportunity catcher because all 3 quarterbacks got to hit him for 6 points.
Yeah, Dennis Houston definitely had a strong day. Same goes for several members of the passing game. First of all, Daniel Jones looked very good out there. He looked comfortable in the pocket. Brian Dable, before practice, said that the team would not be doing many, or at least today, no 7-on-7 drills. They were keeping it at 11-on-11 because they wanted Daniel Jones to get, the feel of the pocket and, with pressure surrounding him, something that he did not do during the spring where he was only kept to 7-on-7. And in those 11-on-11 drills with pressure, with having to, escape out of the pocket at times, he looked very good. He connected with Malik Neighbors for a touchdown. He connected with Lawrence Cager for a touchdown in the back of the end zone. The tight end made a nice athletic catch toward stretching his arms out and securing the ball before falling out of bounds. The passing game looked good. I mean, Malik Neighbors had a strong practice. It wasn't a perfect practice, but for the second training camp practice of his NFL career, he made some impressive receptions, including some. Him and Deontay Banks went against each other one-on-one in individuals prior to team drills, and that might have been my favorite part of practice. I mean, I saw that the official Giants Twitter account put out a video of just one of those reps of Neighbors versus Banks, where Daniel threw a just beautifully placed ball where only an outstretched Malik Neighbors could come down with the football, and Malik made it a great catch with Deontay Banks draped all over him. It was great coverage too. It's just the ball was placed in somewhere where the only one that was going to be able to make a play was Malik, and he went up there and made the play. So overall, and Wan'Dale Robinson also had a strong day. And Jalen Hyatt had, in my opinion, what I thought was the play of the day, around 40-yard touchdown catch from Daniel Jones, which that clip is also up on the Giants Twitter account, where Daniel just threw another beautifully placed deep ball, and Jalen Hyatt caught it right in the corner of the end zone. Couldn't have been a more perfect pass, more perfect catch. Just overall, just good day for the passing game.
In short, I had 9 eye-opening plays that all could have qualified for a play of the day.
Yeah.
Okay?
No exaggeration there.
That tells you folks what kind of day it was for the quarterbacks and the receivers. Now, let's be clear, okay? Helmets, shirts and shorts, and shells. Not full uniform padded practices.
No, that's next week.
Okay? So guys know they're really not going to get hit. The receivers know they don't have to be looking over their shoulder or worried about somebody coming from the side. There's a certain comfort zone to the passing game under these conditions. So I do want to make sure you get the full, complete picture in context. As I said to Pearson, our crack producer here this morning, when he said, hey, great day for the offense in the passing game. I just said, okay, those are the facts. It's absolutely true. But now how do you weigh that and put that into context? If they do what they did today on Monday, when there's full pads and full hitting going on, now you can put a little more beef on it.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right there. As you said, the players are not in pads yet. And once they get into pads, then you definitely get a better indication of how, honestly, both sides of the ball are playing. But it is day 2. They're not in pads. So for the circumstances that were given, the offense looked just about like as good as one would have hoped.
Those are facts.
Yeah.
Those are facts. Daniel Jones was sensational.
He was.
And that is the most accurate word that you could use. He was sensational.
He placed the ball on numerous occasions today, as I mentioned before, in locations where there was just no way that the defender was going to be able to make a play on the ball. It was either his receiver comes down with it or an incomplete pass, which is obviously what you would like to see from your quarterback. And he just looks comfortable in the pocket. And he looks comfortable moving around the pocket, escaping from it, which, considering that he hasn't really, this is only his second day doing that since week 8 of the 2023 season, you love to see it.
Well, here's the bottom line, and we've been hearing this from Daniel and from the Giants people now for several months. His rehab, as far as the leg and the neck are concerned, it's really not even a second thought right now. They feel, he got the green. He's a total go. He was in all of the starters' drills yesterday and today.
Yep.
So put the injury stuff behind you. Now, I know he hasn't been hit yet, and we'll have to see what happens when he gets into a game and actually does get hit, because the Giants are going to make sure that he doesn't get hit out here during training camp. And whether or not he even plays in the preseason, we've discussed that. We don't know.
Yeah.
So he may not take his first hit till the Vikings game.
It's possible.
That's possible. So we still need to get past that hurdle. But in terms of his athleticism, he is not limited in any way.
No. And not only that, but as Daniel mentioned to the media when he spoke yesterday, it's not even a thought in his mind. He's out there playing as if everything's normal, as if there was no injury. He said that, the knee injury, a lot of guys, when they're coming back from a serious injury like that, when they first take the field, you see them play just like a little bit hesitant. If they see a defender running at him, he might, hesitate a little bit, throw the ball away. Daniel was doing none of that. He's playing like normal Daniel Jones that we saw in the first 5 years of his career prior to this injury. And again, it's day 2 of training camp, but considering he's got, close to a month and a half before week 1, the fact that he's already playing confident in himself and with zero thought or concern about the injury, that's just definitely amazing and what you want to see from your starting quarterback.
We should not slight Darius Slayton and Isaiah Hodgins, who also, each of those guys made a pair of nice grabs.
Oh, Hodgins made the
150 ball was incredible.
He made one catch, which the refs originally ruled an incomplete, but I was standing right there, and he got his second foot down.
Oh, no, I saw Dable go over to the official and tell him that was good.
Dable told him it was a touchdown. The offensive coaches did. It was 10 feet in front of me. Yeah. He got his second foot down. And as you mentioned, another play that easily could have been considered the play of the day, because that was an amazing catch.
So I don't want to totally say that the defense was shut out, because there was one really sweet, and I mean sweet, pass breakup by Nick McLeod over the middle on a pass to Wan'Dale Robinson.
Yep.
And the timing could not have been better. It's a pass play that 9 times out of 10, it's an automatic completion, because it's an easy throw, short throw, straight throw right over the middle. And McLeod looked like he was shot out of a cannon.
Yeah.
The way he closed on that ball and knocked it away. That, to me, was the best defensive play of the day.
That was a good play. And I also had Javarius Owens, who had 2 pass breakups. I believe both in the end zone. Definitely one. I think the second one might have been closer to the goal line, but in that area. But he got his hands on the football twice.
He did, but they don't come near the McLeod play for me.
Okay. It's just circumstances. His were in the end zone.
That's true.
Saving a touchdown. Obviously, it's the
Understood.
practice. But,
Understood.
But, yeah, he did get his hands on the football a couple of times. Azeez Ojulari
And one of the 2 times on Owens, the near official actually threw his flag.
Did he?
Yeah, on my side.
Oh,
he threw his flag, and then I think they had a little discussion. So I'm not even sure if that was a penalty or not.
All right. Well, my side of the field, I didn't see the flag.
That's all right. Look, he did pick up the flag, so I don't know if they overruled the penalty, but I do need to at least put that out there.
Fair enough. Azeez Ojulari, I thought, also had a pretty solid practice. Got into the backfield on numerous occasions.
He had one definite sack.
One definite sack. A second, I think, probably would have been a sack as well in a game situation. Just good to see him getting into the backfield on, somewhat of a consistent basis. But yeah, we're talking about how well the offense have played, and it definitely was a strong day for the offense. But you kind of expect that when primarily the team drills are occurring inside the red zone. Well, when that happens, you're going to hear about a lot of touchdowns, hear and see a lot of catches. It's different than when, the offense is lined up on their own 30-yard line.
No doubt.
Where you might not have a single touchdown all of practice. So just want to put that out there.
As much context.
Exactly. As much as we're talking, as well as the offense played, the defense certainly made some plays as well.
But you do need to know what happened out there. Whether or not you want to weigh it heavily, that's up to you. We'll try to give you perspective, but those are the facts. The other thing that's important to note is that Jermaine Eluemunor did speak with the media today, and I didn't lead with this because, quite frankly, he had already tweeted out yesterday that he was all good to go with a big thumbs up. We did learn more details. He was bodied or elbowed and bodied by Dexter Lawrence in his side against his ribs. He said it hurt. He lost his breath. He had trouble breathing. But the truth of the matter is, he's like, it's all right. It's not a big deal. He's going to be okay. And today, when they started practice with the 11-on-11 jog through that they opened practice with before they actually begin everything, he was the starting right tackle for the jog through. And they went all the way down the field on 4 consecutive plays, and he was the starting right tackle. After that, they pulled him out of team drills. And then he just did a few things on the side. But that's okay. That's okay. This is just precautionary, giving him a little blow, a little bit of a breather, but everything appears to be fine.
Yeah, Dable told us before practice, he said that Jermaine is sore, was the word he used, but he said that it was nothing serious. He said that Jermaine would be working just individuals today. So, him not partaking in team drills was nothing that, it was not unexpected at all. And then when Jermaine was talking to the media himself after practice, which that alone is a good sign that nothing's too serious.
Oh, he was laughing about everything.
If a guy gets hurt, he's not going to go up to the podium and talk to the media. So it was good to see him just up there at the podium in general. But as you mentioned, he said he got hit by Dex. He said, I don't know if any of you guys have seen, but Dexter's a pretty big man. And he said it sort of felt like he got hit by a truck, which I don't know how that feels. I'd never want to know how that feels, getting hit by a Dexter Lawrence, shoulder or elbow.
Maybe a double-decker bus? How about that?
But yeah, it was just good to see Jermaine smiling, laughing, downplaying the injury. It sounds like it will not be long before he's back on the field.
Right. And at least for the time being, it was Joshua Ezeudu who did take the first team reps at tackle when Eluemunor then went off to the side for the individual drills. So as far as I could tell, folks, that's the full report. Unless there was something else you wanted to add from practice. I think we hit all the highlights.
The only other thing, I guess, that really stood out to me was the individual drills that happened at the very beginning of practice.
The one-on-ones?
The one-on-ones, especially with the wide receivers versus the cornerbacks. There were just some great plays made by members of both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
That was where I know I mentioned this before. The Malik Neighbors, Deontay Banks had a couple of matchups. Neighbors caught 2 touchdowns. But again, Banks had great coverage on those. It was just Daniel threw the ball perfectly, pretty much. And Malik just made great catches on them.
Well, that's where Hodgins had a 50-50 catch for a touchdown.
Oh, and then this I thought was also good to see. Isaiah Simmons, who yesterday and today had been doing some work with the cornerbacks.
Yes.
Which we did hear from, Shane Bowen on Hard Knocks. You and I spoke about this a couple of weeks ago about how they were thinking he might, play some nickel.
Right.
and he was lined up against, I believe it was Isaiah McKenzie.
Yeah.
On these one-on-one drills.
Yeah.
In the goal on the goal line.
And he broke up the pass.
Had unreal coverage and broke up a pass to McKenzie that for sure looked like he was going for a touchdown.
Absolutely.
And he somehow got his hands in there and knocked the ball away. It's great to see. Nick McLeod had great coverage on one of these one-on-one matchups in the end zone. What else?
Well, McLeod did get burned on a jukes move in a one-on-one against Wan'Dale Robinson for a touchdown. And also Slayton used a jukes move on Cordell Flott in a one-on-one for a touchdown as well.
And Hyatt also, towards the beginning, had a really nice move to get open.
We could probably go on for another hour. Literally, that's what this practice was today.
Yeah.
So you guys get the idea, okay? It was spread out all around the offense, specifically the passing game. And it was just a marvelous day for that type of execution. And the fans out here, I'm sure they posted a ton of videos. You'll probably find them on Twitter. The Giants will have their own stuff up on the team site later on today. It was fun. It was eventful. Take it in context. 201-939-4513. And let's start taking some phone calls here so you folks can maybe chatter in. Maybe some of you folks who were even there at the practice want to add some of your 2 cents. But for now, we go to the lines, and if I could only find where the names are here, Pearson, my goodness.
I got you. It's Hugo in New Jersey.
Hugo's first. All right, there we are. We got to start cleaning up this file because it's just too messy.
Too much
Go
info,
ahead, Hugo.
man.
What do you got for us today?
Hey, good afternoon, guys. It's been a few weeks since I last called in. So I want to do a quick catch-up on two things on Hard Knocks. It was very clear that the Giants, in addition to Brian Burns, had some interest in Christian Wilkins to beef up the front seven. And Paul, I think you were on. It was you and Lance when I called in. I think you guys kind of snickered at this. I said that Dexter Lawrence would be pretty happy to welcome Christian Wilkins. And in fact, there was a roundtable discussion about the fact that I didn't know this, that he was best friends with Christian Wilkins. And as you know,
well, look at the college connection. That's why we snickered, because look at the college connection. Your comment was actually rather obvious, to be honest with you. The sun comes up in the east too, Hugo. I mean, come on.
No, I think the comment was, that doesn't play into the decision-making process.
Well,
I just find it funny that.
Honestly,
I just find it funny that there was a discussion about that on Hard Knocks.
The thing about Wilkins, obviously another defensive tackle, and I understood why the conversation came up with the Giants because he was a quality player, and they certainly could use another quality impact player in the front seven. I personally believe they were much better off going to get Brian Burns. Quite frankly, for the scheme that they want to run, it's a no-brainer. Brian Burns is going to be much more effective in this scheme than Wilkins would have been.
Well, it was a hefty price, as we've talked about.
No doubt.
And I'm very interested to see if this upside with Brian Burns that everyone's talked about, including on Hard Knocks, will play out. So we'll just wait and see how that plays out. The other thing on Hard Knocks that I found pretty interesting was, I didn't even know this, is that there was a conversation between Carmen Brasillo and Saquon Barkley, of all people, about the offensive lineman that the Giants signed. And I thought Carmen Brasillo had some interesting comments about John Runyon. He mostly noted high intelligence, just adequate athleticism, I think was the quote. But he also said that he had center flexibility, and that struck me as very surprising. I had never heard that before. And I'm just wondering if some of the consideration signing Runyon was, I know Schlotman's on the roster, but another level of insurance if either, John Michael Schmitz gets hurt or if he doesn't step up his game. I just found that intriguing, that was part of the commentary and new news to me. Okay, so switching to the offensive line for a moment. I'm not very positive in my view of where things are going with Evan Neal. He obviously missed a lot of time in the off season, and now he's on PUP.
By the way, Neal was at practice today. He was not working out. He was not in any gear. He was on the sideline, though, after doing some things with the trainers, and did make an appearance to watch a lot of practice this morning, just so people know.
Yeah, but he's a young player that's missed a lot of time and needs to work on his craft and improve.
Yep.
And I just think that it's going to be a two-step process, right? One, he's going to have to get healthy, and two, he's going to have to work the rust off and make the improvements that the coaching staff wants from him. So I think what that suggests is that, at least for the beginning of the year, that it's more likely than not that Illuminor is the starting right tackle. I'm not saying that Neal can eventually step in, but he is way behind. Let's all be honest about that, which then opens up a hole at left guard, and the concept of another after all the work the Giants have done on the offensive line, having a journeyman be a starter, one of your top 5 at left guard for another season, where we've had this for years and years on end, Glowinski, Bredesen, and so on. That just doesn't strike me as a good construct. So I'd really like to see that left guard competition be opened up. Give Azudu reps there. Well, I know we've talked about it. Give other people reps there, and let the best man win. Because frankly, you gotta shore up that middle of the line, and they spent a lot of time and money in the offseason trying to do that, and it's starting to look like that's not what is happening here.
Oh no, hold on, Hugo. Your opinion is correct. By the way, you're 100% correct. If Illuminor does have to go to right tackle to start the season, they're going to have a competition at left guard. Stinney, for the first couple of days, has been the lead guy. That doesn't mean that if Illuminor stays at right tackle, Stinney starts against the Minnesota Vikings. It doesn't mean that at all. It means we got 6 weeks to find out who that guy needs to be. But for the moment, right, you go out to the practice field, somebody's got to go there. So right now, Stinney's the first choice. That doesn't mean he's going to keep it by the time we get around to the Vikings game.
And also, Stinney is not some guy, that's just been riding the bench since he entered the NFL. He did start 11 games last year for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are a, pretty good team. And Stinney, not saying he was all-pro level talent, but, he was solid playing for the Bucs last year.
Listen, we signed Stinney, and the Bucs signed Bredesen.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Be that what it may.
Understood.
But look, here's my concern. Joe Shane talked about the players that need to step up from the 2022 class.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe this was an oversight, but the name Azudu wasn't mentioned, and I guess that's concerning to me. I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but thanks for taking my call.
All right, Hugo.
Thanks, Hugo.
Let's talk about this for 1 second before we get to the next call.
Okay.
I've always believed that Azudu, when he came out, because he was a jack of all trades at North Carolina and a master of none. Remember, he came out a year early. And I understood that because it was his understanding at North Carolina he wasn't going to be allowed to just play one position. They were going to continue to move him around because their line's just not very good. And so he was going to be shifting up and down that line for another year. And in his opinion, part of his rationale for coming out into the NFL was because he's not necessarily going to be able to polish up one position. They're going to keep bouncing him around. He understood that. He saw the writing on the wall. So I think part of the problem is he comes out a year early having never truly developed a skill set for one position. In this case, I think that was a detriment to him. It helped North Carolina, but it didn't help him as a prospect. The Giants get him here, and quite frankly, he's battled a couple of different medical issues since the day he got here. And they've had to bounce him around. At the moment, Carmen Priscillo seems to believe he is best suited to concentrate on being a swing tackle. I think the reason, Hugo, and I'm going to get your weigh in on this, I think the reason that Azudu is not playing any guard right now is because Priscillo really sees potential in him as a swing tackle, and they want him to focus on one position for the first time in his life so that he doesn't have to continue thinking about going back and forth.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, if you look at the roster right now, especially among the offensive linemen, he's got to be, as of now, like probably the favorite to be the team swing tackle. I mean, last year that was a position that was filled by Tyree Phillips. Tyree Phillips isn't here anymore. Like, the only offensive lineman, the only tackle that the Giants went out and signed this offseason was Matt Nelson. And that is a guy who, while he's been around the league for a couple of years, he does not have a ton of experience. So I agree with you. It seems pretty clear that Ezeudu, as of right now, is probably what the coaching staff has in mind to be their swing tackle, the guy to fill in on either side in case of an injury. Obviously, God forbid something happens to Andrew Thomas or Jermaine Illuminor, Evan Neal once he comes back. But it seems like that is what they have in mind for Ezeudu. Because I agree, they haven't put him out at guard, really. That doesn't mean they won't. Again, today was day 2 of training camp. And during the spring, obviously, the offensive linemen, they do line up, but with 0 contact allowed, the linemen on both sides of the ball don't gain a ton from the team drills during the spring. So what happened in the spring, I wouldn't make too much of it. Of course, we could see Ezeudu line up at guard in the near future. We don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But I agree with you. It seems like they think his best role as of right now is to be that swing tackle. And that is a position that the Giants really need. They need someone to step up as that swing tackle, someone they can lean on if need be.
And that should not be considered a negative on Ezeudu in any way.
Certainly not.
Which I think is what Hugo's trying to paint here. He's trying to paint the negative on the kid, and I don't understand that.
I don't think being the team swing tackle, I don't see how that would be a negative or a bad role for him. He was a 3rd-round pick a couple of years ago. Obviously, hasn't played the greatest level of football in his first 2 seasons, but again, he's dealt with injuries. He's been moved around
still
a
pretty
good
raw.
amount.
He really is.
He is definitely raw. So we'll see.
All right, back to the phones at 201-939-4513 here on Big Blue Kickoff Live. Big Lou on line 2 is next on the program. How's it going?
How you doing, brother?
Good to talk to you again.
All right. So I'm hearing a lot of stuff about the good to talk to you as well, sir. I'm hearing a lot of stuff about Deontay Banks and the Malik Neighbors going one-on-one today. Quite a few times, and in particular, one catch where I believe you guys spoke about it earlier, where Deontay Banks was draped all over him in good coverage, and Daniel Jones placed the ball where only the receiver could make a play on it, and Malik Neighbors went and made the play on it. Now, there's a few things to unpack in that, right? As we all know, there's a lot of people who bash DJ and say all types of things about Daniel Jones, but I like that you worded it the way you worded it earlier, that Daniel Jones threw a perfectly placed ball where only the receiver can make a play on it. Now, what you'll go and see on Twitter all day is the exact opposite of that. They'll take one little bad play and amplify it and try to paint the picture as if this is what Daniel Jones is. But Daniel Jones looks healthy. He looks decisive. He looks like he has his timing. And we've all known that he's been a great deep ball thrower his entire career. So I think this year we're going to get a prime DJ, and he's going to make some statements with the weapons that he's been given. And I can't wait. So I'm glad that we got a dog in Deontay Banks. I'm glad that we got a dog in Malik Neighbors. And hopefully that will become infectious and get this team riled up and make a go at it. My prediction for the season, as you all know if you follow my content on YouTube, is 11-6.
Big Lou, I will say this. The Neighbors-Banks battles are going to be fun to watch over the next several weeks. I think you would agree, Matt. And, while Malik Neighbors got the better of the play today, that's not to say that Banks was poor at all.
No, Banks.
He was there.
Banks had had great coverage.
He was there.
First of all, he was, even on the 2 touchdowns that we were talking about, Deontay Banks did have great coverage on them. But there was another play that we haven't mentioned that Deontay Banks forced an incompletion while guarding Malik Neighbors in the end zone. And again, he had great coverage. And I think it was Daniel, the quarterback on that play, kind of had to not saying threw it away, but like threw it a little too far outside because of how great of coverage Deontay had on Neighbors. So Deontay definitely made some plays today as well. It wasn't one side.
Well, we know the old adage that iron sharpens iron. So that's a great problem to have. When you got two dogs like that going at it, it creates competition and it elevates the people around them and makes them want to compete higher at a higher level. So I love it. I can't wait to see what it produces.
Yeah, for sure. And just about, you talking about Daniel Jones before, John Schmelk and I were on the show yesterday, and we both spoke about how the way that Daniel is kind of composing himself, at least when talking to the media, he seemed more confident overall. And on day 2, it's only day 2 of training camp, and that confidence is already showing up on the practice field. He's making throws that, deep throws. That throw to Jalen Hyatt was just an amazingly placed ball, 40 yards down the field.
Perfect.
We haven't seen Daniel the last couple of seasons throw too many deep passes, but that doesn't mean he's not able to. I mean, as you mentioned, Big Lou, he's a good deep thrower. He just hasn't gotten many opportunities to do it, and some of it has to do with the receivers that he's been playing with. But with the complement of receivers that the Giants now have, especially with Malik Neighbors and a fully healthy Wan'Dale Robinson covering the short and intermediate routes, that's going to free up guys like Jalen Hyatt and Darius Slayton to get open down the field. And I feel like we're going to see Daniel Jones unleash the ball deep a lot more this year than we have before.
Big Lou, I'm going to give you one additional thought. When the other receivers in the room see plays made like were played today, they know inside that they got to keep making plays like that or do better if they want to keep up with the rest of the guys in the room. And
100%.
and that's why today, if you want to talk about something to chew on today that actually has a little beef to it, it's that the competition in the wide receiver room has to be ramped up after what those guys each put on tape today, because a slew of receivers were really making plays that everybody else saw. And it's like, I don't want to be left behind. I got to make plays because all my other guys are making plays too.
Well, that's a great problem to have, a problem we haven't had in quite some time.
Yeah.
So I accept it fully, and I can't wait to see what it produces. Like I said, I'm excited. This year has a certain feel to it. It's kind of nostalgic almost, and a lot of people call me crazy on Twitter when I say we're going 11-6, and NFC Championship, here we come. But I really feel that. It really feels like it's almost like when they asked Eli, was he elite? It's that kind of feel in this offseason. Like Daniel Jones has something to prove. He's heard all of the stuff. He's read all of the stuff. And he's come out early, healthy. He looks good, pause. And I think he's fired up. He has a chip on his shoulder, and he's focused. And now he has some weapons. And if Dable is calling the plays, I'm super excited.
All right, Big Lou, thanks for the call.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you guys, man. You guys keep up the great work and keep pounding that logical football talk to these people because they're crazy. Thank you for having me.
All right, 201-939-4513. Look, there's only one way to look at today's practice session, and that is the quarterbacks and the receivers had a great day. Anybody who gives you a take different than that either didn't watch or simply doesn't want to admit to what they saw.
Yeah, I mean, there's some people out there that just want to paint a narrative, especially about the Giants' passing game, that doesn't matter kind of what happens on the field, they're going to have a certain opinion, about Daniel Jones, about the receivers. So I agree with you. I don't see how anyone that followed today's practice, that saw it, saw clips from it, I don't see how anyone could come out of that and not say, just tip their cap to Daniel Jones.
Big Pat is on line 3. You are next on BBKL. Hello.
What's going on? You just talked to Big Lou, you talked to Big Pat. What's going on, Mr. Dottino?
Good to talk to you again.
What's going on? Hey, you guys stole my thunder, man. I was talking about the receivers as well today. But you made a good point about the energy that the receivers are putting out on the field. Even though it's only day 2 of training camp, I understand that. But you had the veterans like Allen Robinson going out there putting moves on people. And Darius Slayton looks like he's gotten better with his route running as far as getting off the line of scrimmage. What do you think about the energy of Malik Neighbors rubbing off on people like Hyatt and Wan'Dale Robinson, making them want to be better? Because Hyatt did a move today in the end zone for a touchdown. that if he can do that, him and Neighbors, oh my goodness. Like, I don't know what you're gonna do with her if we have blocking, but I just want to see what you guys feel about the energy of Malik Neighbors. Is he energizing his team? Is he rubbing off on his team? Is he going to make the receiver room better, even though he's a rookie? Not trying to put that pressure on him, but I just think it's a natural thing for him.
Yeah, I mean, I think he has 100% brought energy, not only to the wide receiver room, but to the entire field. I mean, Deonte Banks was asked about Malik Neighbors, and I guess we'll call it Malik Neighbors' trash talking after practice today. And Deonte kind of smiled and laughed and was like, yeah, he likes to talk.
And he goes back at him.
And they go back at it each other, for sure. All practice, they were going at each other, all in good fun, all playful. But Malik Neighbors is not, when he makes a play, he is not afraid to let the defense know just how good of a play that he made. And yeah, you kind of see it rubbing off a little bit on all the other wide receivers. I mean, everyone, all the wide receivers, when they make a nice play, they're letting the defense know. And it goes both ways. The defense is letting the receivers know when they make a play. So 100%, he has brought some juice, both just production-wise to the offense and just like his mannerisms. He's bringing energy, it seems like, to just everyone on the field.
Big Pat, there's something that happened today that was very subtle, but it's quite meaningful when you understand the kind of emotion and kind of family-oriented stuff goes into being a good teammate. There was a pass that Jones unleashed to Neighbors that he should have caught. I think you probably remember it. It was on the sideline where you were.
The lower pass?
Yeah. He should have caught it. It's a play that a top-notch receiver's got to make. He didn't make it. Okay? He didn't make it. He was visually upset with himself. A lot of pride in this kid, okay? A lot of pride. Was upset with himself. As he came back over to the other sideline, which would have been away from you, which is probably why you didn't see this, he was coming back on the other sideline, and Daniel Jones made it a point to go right up to him, pat him on the helmet, and you could see by the body language, he was like, it's okay, man. You know, don't worry. I'm going to get you another ball. It's all right. And you could see Daniel taking that leadership role, understanding that, okay, Neighbors was upset. He was getting down on himself. And here's Jones coming in to soothe that situation. And then you could see how him and Neighbors, they started chatting and they were on the same page. And that's the kind of stuff, if you have a very astute eye when you're watching during training camp and during practice, that's the little stuff that actually starts to develop and becomes important over time. And I don't think too many people saw that. So I want to give that to you because it's important in Neighbors maturing and development that stuff takes place. That's important.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Daniel did the same thing yesterday when Malik had the drop pass yesterday.
I didn't see if he did,
practice.
But he certainly did it today.
I'm pretty sure he went up to him. It may not have been right after because I don't think the first team came off the field right away. But when the first team did walk off, I'm pretty sure Daniel went up to Malik and said something to him. I'm sure just about the same thing he went up and said to him today. And, you know, it's important to keep in mind, Malik Neighbors was one of the youngest players in this entire draft. He's 20 years old. He turns 21 in a couple of days. He is still a kid. He has a lot of growing to do. Obviously, just getting used to the level of play in the NFL, but he's going to mature. And obviously, I think everyone on the offense knows that in order for the offense to have what many would consider a successful season this year, a lot of it is going to come down to Malik Neighbors really stepping up and being that number one receiver that the team's sort of been missing for the last couple of years. So I agree with you. It's great to see Daniel. I mean, that's the type of quarterback in person that we've seen Daniel Jones be since the day he got here 5 years ago.
Just as important, though, was the fact that Neighbors was receptive to it.
Of course.
And his reaction to Daniel when Daniel went up to him, that interaction between both guys, the byplay, if you will, that's what you want to see, because you don't want to see maybe Daniel extending a leaf or a branch and then Neighbors shrugging it off. Yeah. Which, you know what? In the past, I've seen some guys do that.
And a couple of plays later, Malik caught a touchdown from Daniel.
Absolutely.
And one thing I want to leave you guys with, because I know you guys got to get the other callers. When you watch Malik Neighbors and P-Dot, and I'm sorry to get your other host name.
Matt.
Okay, Mr. Oh, yeah, I saw your Twitter thing you were talking about. Okay, I got you. Malik Neighbors has a controlled rage when he's playing. And what I mean by that is it's hard to cover somebody that knows how to control his burst. On that one catch where he got the touchdown, not the one where Banks was draped on him, he hopped on his back and they was talking to each other after the play. The first one, when he called it on the comeback, the reason why Banks didn't get that cover is because he knows how to put his burst right after each other. He knows how to slow it down, burst up, slow it down, burst, turn back, get the ball. We haven't had a receiver like that since OBJ was here before his injuries. And that's going to help Deontay Banks a lot, covering people like Terry McLaurin and Justin Jefferson. Like, that Malik Neighbors kid, I know it's only day 2, but he has it. Once he matures and learns the game, I think he's going to be exceptional, bro.
Well, to be honest with you, he used that burst on that slant for a touchdown on Trey Hawkins.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, that's the kind of thing that, you know, Trey Hawkins has to get used to. Remember, he was as green as a piece of celery last year. And when they threw him in early because he had a great summer camp, he was in over his head and then wound up having to take a seat and a step back. Well, Trey Hawkins, guess what? You better get used to that kind of stuff, because that's what the better receivers in this league can do to you. So I love the fact that Neighbors was able to do that to Hawkins, because the young second-year corner needs to see that. He needs to understand this is what you're up against. That's the level that you've got to compete against if you want to be in this league.
Yeah, but Big Pat just brought up a very good point, though. You know, a big storyline, a big narrative the last couple months has been Deontay Banks is going into the season as the unquestioned number 1 corner. And I know last year we saw him go up against the opposing team's number 1 wide receiver just about every single week. And it seems like that's probably going to happen just about every week again this year. This training camp, though, as Big Pat mentioned, he gets to practice by going up against Malik Neighbors. And I'm not saying Malik Neighbors is already a top wide receiver in the league, but he clearly has the skills to eventually become a top receiver in the league. And Deontay Banks getting to go up against him one-on-one for the next 6 weeks, that is going to help him, Deontay Banks, get ready for this upcoming slate of number 1 wide receivers that he's going to go up against. Justin Jefferson week 1, Terry McLaurin week 2. Who's it? I forgot who we play week 3. Cleveland?
Is that Cleveland?
Cleveland, Amari Cooper.
Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
CeeDee Lamb the following week. And then Seattle's coming up. Like, he's got some very tough wide receivers to go up against this year. And getting to train all summer, going up against Malik Neighbors, that is going to help him once the season starts.
He's going to need it. He needs it. He needs to play against receivers like that, bro, because NC East, we got some dogs. We got A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, CeeDee Lamb, Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson over there with Washington. Then you got Brandon Cooks. You have all type. Then we got, and then the games that you're not playing, division, you're playing DK Metcalf, Justin Jefferson. Like, it's ridiculous this year, Peter. I'm telling you, he's gonna need that.
Big Pat. The best thing that you could do for those corners is to get a pass rush.
Yeah, right. That's where Brian Burns comes in. Man.
That's it.
Man, it's going to be hard on Deontay Banks this year. We're going to really see how he grows this year, because it's going to be tough. He's got to play a slew of receivers that's going to be monsters all year long. He's playing DK Metcalf that's looking for another contract. Amari Cooper's going to be looking for another contract. So they're going to go that extra mile because they want to show, hey, I need that $35 million too. So it's going to be, man, I'm praying for him.
All right, Big Pat, thanks for the call.
All right.
Take care.
Thank you.
201-939-4513. We have lines open here on Big Blue Kickoff Live this afternoon. Again, folks, if you haven't gotten used to it by now, we're starting at 1 o'clock, at least for the next couple of weeks, because of the Giants' early training camp practice schedule. So we are live here Eastern Time, 1 o'clock in New York. And then, of course, you could always catch us again on the archive with all of your favorite podcast platforms. A couple of notes coming up later on, just in a couple of weeks. I can't believe it. The calendar just keeps moving and moving and moving. But the Giants Foundation will host a 5K race and kids run presented by Quest on Saturday, September 7th at 9 a.m. And September is going to be here before we know it, Matt.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it is coming rapidly. Net proceeds will benefit the Giants Foundation. All participants will receive a commemorative T-shirt, and after the race, stay for a post-race festival with appearances by Giants legends and a live DJ. Register now at Giants.com. The Giants Huddle. Once again, all kinds of Giants and NFL personalities are available. Long-form interviews. John did a whole a series of positions by positions where you get to hear from a bunch of people on the Giants roster.
We're going to get safeties up today, so you'll hear from all of them today.
Safeties today.
There you go.
I'm sure Tyler Newbin's in there, right?
Yeah.
All right, Pearson, good news. So that's up on the Giants websites and all your favorite podcast platforms everywhere, or at giants.com/podcasts. And remember, you can take your fandom to the next level with a season ticket membership. Stay connected to the club all year round, not just on game days. Memberships are now available for the 2024 season. It's coming very quickly, folks. To learn more about your exclusive member benefits, visit giants.com/tickets. And finally, Giants TV is the official free app. It connects you to all things Giants. It's on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and the Giants mobile app. We go back to the phones at 201-939-4513. And I believe we are going to line one.
Cliff in New York.
That's Cliff. Go ahead, Cliff. You're next on the show.
Hey, guys. Thanks for all the great stuff. Very optimistic about the season. I found my mistake about when Coach Dable said we don't have our team yet. We're still adding pieces. It was during the Hard Knocks teaser. It was before the draft and before free agency. So I was wrong about that. I thought he said it after that.
Well, you just needed to put it in its proper context. That's all. And you went back to find it, and now you understand.
Yeah, but when we talked about that kind of idea about still adding pieces, after that, I know Howard weighed in on it, and all you guys did. The idea came up of, well, we're not looking for somebody, who's like a veteran, a so-so player at the veteran minimum necessarily. We think we have all that kind of stuff already on the 90, but that maybe some trades would be in order, and to bring in some substantial addition. And when I was listening today, I was thinking of something that I was already thinking about recently, that when we talk about all this wide receiver depth that's on the 90 and all these terrific guys, and there's maybe 6 spots, do you think maybe there's some trade bait in there that we could use to get another impact player?
Wide receiver is one of the easiest positions to sign in off-the-street free agency in the league, because there are an awful lot of guys who can run 4.4s. There are an awful lot of guys who can catch a ball. There are an awful lot of guys who have those kinds of physical gifts. So to be frank with you, it's very hard to make a deal with a back-of-the-depth chart wide receiver and expect to grab a draft choice for them, because teams know that you're going to have to keep 6, 5, whatever it is you're going to do, and you're going to put a decent caliber player on the street. They know that. And with 32 teams in the league, there's going to be a full shelf of guys to choose from right after those cuts.
Well, the only thing I'll say to that is it fully depends on how some of these, I guess, bottom of the depth chart guys perform in the preseason. I mean, if a guy goes off for the Giants, one of the wide receivers in the preseason, has an amazing preseason, but is just not going to make the team, not going to make the Giants, because the Giants are pretty deep at wide receiver right now. The bottom of the wide receiver depth chart is one of the things that I've been writing about on Giants.com for weeks now, that I'm most interested to see how it plays out. But if someone, has an amazing preseason and the Giants, other teams know that the Giants are probably going to cut him, if you're a team that is towards the bottom of the waiver claim order, that is a situation where I could see them potentially calling Joe Shane and saying, hey, before you cut this guy and put him out there where one of the, 20-something teams ahead of us can go claim him before we get a chance to, is there something we can work out? I mean, that is a situation that I could see happen. I mean, the Giants themselves last year, towards the end of August, made 2 trades to bring in players. They traded for Isaiah Simmons and traded for Boogie Basham.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that the Giants could find themselves on the other end of that situation, with wide receiver being the one position that it could happen, just because, again, I do think the Giants are the deepest they've been at wide receiver in a very long time.
The difference is, you mentioned Basham and Simmons. Those positions, pass rush linebacker potentially, and a front 7 run stopper, those are much more valuable and harder to come by.
Yes.
And to be frank with you, you have the vested veterans. Like, let's say Isaiah McKenzie doesn't make it. Isaiah McKenzie has a resume in this league, okay? Isaiah McKenzie's probably going to play in the NFL somewhere this year. If he doesn't make the Giants, he's going to be cut and get a free agent deal with somebody off the street, and he's going to play football in the 2024 season. I'm pretty confident of that, okay? Yeah. But that's what happens. At that position, there are usually so many guys that are going to get cut in that now one cut, because that's the new rules these days, that, in all honesty, to expect some team to fork over even a 7th-round draft choice for one at that position, not very likely.
No, I'm not. I never said I was expecting it. I'm saying I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility.
Nothing's ever out of the possibility. I understand.
That's all I'm saying.
I understand. Not likely, though. Go ahead.
Well, with that, with all the excitement about all the new players, a terrific free agency again, and then the best draft yet in years, I'm still looking for the middle of the offensive line and the middle of the defensive line, man. I mean, I guess the whole league knows that that's where it's at, and they all try to do their best to find the best athletes that are big enough and strong enough to play that position and deal with stunts either way and all that kind of stuff. Do you think we have on the 90 the guys that can really step up for the what do you call that 3 technique on defense and a guard spot on offense? I'm a little disappointed that Izudu's out of the running for guard apparently at the moment. I'm sure they know what they're doing. I'm just not sure of the level of the play we've got from the new guards. I know that I'm very confident it'll be a lot better than last year. Of course, the bar to be better from last year is not very high, but I do think it'll be what you call functional, Paul, and I think it's going to be great. But to really be a team that really has a shot at going deep into the playoffs, I'm still looking for that for something a little bit better. Or hoping that on the 90 we've got something better already cooking in the competition for those internal spots on both sides.
Cliff, those are 2 of the very positions I've identified as projections, where you don't have guaranteed production from. You don't have guys who have such a good resume like, okay, fine. I think there are 7 of the 11 starting spots on defense where I'm absolutely concrete. I'm very, very happy with the starters, and I have absolutely no hesitation about them. But there are 4 positions on defense, and on offense, you have to immediately look at the interior of the line and say, okay, those guys are projection guys. They're not production guys right now, but they need to turn into production guys if the Giants are going to be, if they're going to be a good team. That's just a fact. I mean, you're not breaking any new ground here. I understand your trepidation, but you can't have production guys at every position. The salary cap won't let you do that, and there are not enough players available that you can fill all of your holes with production guys. You have to have some projection guys on your roster. That's just the way the league is built.
And I also, again, I've spoken about this guy, I don't even know how many times over the last couple of months, as my favorite player, or my favorite to win the spot next to Dexter Lawrence, is Jordan Phillips. He's been around the league a long time. He is the one guy outside of Dex that has a long resume of some decent, solid success in this league. I mean, of course, he had the one season in Miami 2019, 9.5 sacks, which obviously goes without saying. That's amazing. But even in the season since then, which have definitely been injury riddled, that's been the biggest thing holding him back.
Injuries and age are the things that you have to be worried about.
But he had 2.5 sacks last year in 14 games, 9 starts. A sack and a half the year before, 12 games, 1 start. So pretty much a reserve. 3 sacks in 9 games the year before. Like, if he can stay on the field, I think that is an easy choice for the guy that can win the spot next to Dexter Lawrence and provide just some more pass rushing juice to that front that already will have Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns, and Kayvon Thibodeau. I mean, if Phillips is healthy and can earn that spot, that front four, show me a better pass rushing front four in the NFL. They're not many.
I thought of what you've been saying about him right this week, Matt. He tipped a pass at the line of scrimmage and it was picked off.
Yep, yesterday's practice.
He did.
And I hope that would be great. We could use a break. Last year I was thinking, I shouldn't be predicting records. That's not my thing. I like to pick breakout players and see guys come out of nowhere, or guys that were already an impact and go to the next level. So I was thinking I shouldn't have picked 12-5 like I did. And of course we had the disaster. But I really wasn't aware of how bad a depth problem we still had at the time. It seemed like we had bad breaks with the blocked field goal that set all the train wreck in motion. But that was really a terrible weakness on special teams, which also had to do with the lack of depth, is where it shows up on your special teams. And there was a gruesome.
Cliff, that was all last year. We're moving on, and to be honest, I got one more call I got to get in. So call us back again another time. Thank you. 201-939-4513. Why would we want to talk about the 2023 season right now? I just no. That's throw that behind you.
On to 2024.
Marco in Connecticut, you're on line 2. You're next on BBKL. Hello.
Hey, fellas. How are you?
Hi.
Hey, what's up, Marco?
Hey, what's up, Matt? Paul, I met you at the Legends Night. You gave me a hard time about the polo I was wearing. It was the 1970s striped polo, and you said you weren't too much of a fan. So it might have been the
1975 logo, right? The disco logo.
That was it.
Yes. That's the year that the Giants played at Shea Stadium, and it was a horrific season in a number of ways. So yes, I when I see Giants fans using the 1975 logo, I remind them of the days when Walker Gillette was the leading receiver, Joe Dawkins was the leading running back, and Craig Morton was the quarterback. That's not exactly a year that you want to talk about a whole lot. So I kind of make sure that logo is not anywhere around me at any time. Let's just put it that way.
Gotcha.
Anyway.
I called. Hey, I was wondering about. I forgot in the off season. Then I saw a picture of him the other day. Just curious, in the limited times you've seen him, does he look like he's got some fresh legs? Like, is he from
Allen Robinson is who he's talking about.
Allen Robinson, the wide receiver. Yeah. Does he look like he's able to contribute? Just wondering what you've seen so far.
Well, to be honest with you, if you talk to the people in Pittsburgh, they'll tell you not only is he a pro's pro, and he's got terrific hands, and he's very mature, and he's a great leader, but he also blocks for the run, and he's able to play. Right now, he's either a big slot or he's a possession guy. He's not an X anymore.
No.
That's just, he doesn't have that burst or that foot speed or that great quickness. But what he does have is a very high football IQ and very precise routes. And that's how he's going to stay in this league now, if he's going to stay and stick. He's not going to be able to beat guys with speed. That's just not there.
Yeah, and he's made a couple of catches in the first 2 days. I know we haven't really spoken about him much, but I think that just speaks more about the performance of the other wide receivers. It's not a knock against Allen Robinson.
Yeah, I think some fans are looking at it with the type of veteran signing he was. They think about Galladay, and I know it was different. It was different salary-wise.
The bank can also tell you how different that signing was, too.
Yeah. So just wondering what you've seen so far. But hey, I look forward to seeing you guys over the weekend, and thanks for taking the call.
All right, appreciate it. 201-939-4513. That's going to do it for today's edition of Big Blue Kickoff Live. Again, we are here every weekday, and it's from 1 p.m. until 2 p.m. New York time until further notice as we weave our way through the early portions of training camp. Any other final thoughts, Matt, before we say goodbye?
No. Let's keep it going.
All right.
Let's hope tomorrow's practice is as good as today's.
You could wish the rain stays away.
I think the rain is cleared now. I'm pretty sure the weather forecast, at least for the next few practices,
keeps threatening, but the last 2 days we've been dry.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure the next few days it's looking like clear skies.
Excellent. I love to hear that.
I'll have my sunscreen.
That'll do it for the program. For Matt Citak, I'm Paul Dottino. This has been Big Blue Kickoff Live, presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Giants. We'll see you next time.